eXyu. Yeah, okay.
And they're all very different players. Very different personalities as well.
What do you think, having experienced coaching some of these players are like some of the standout players? Obviously Inspired ones that we talk about a lot on the broadcast, but outside of Inspired, who do you think is going to have to step up on Dignitas' side to make this a close series?
So in my opinion, FBI and Ignar will need a duo step up in this series. Okay. I feel like Dignitas functions the best when these two have a winning lane, when they're ahead in the game and they can really dictate things. I think FBI is still a world-class player, but it's getting that team there and over the early game. I think if you go back to our series last week, Shopify against Dignitas, I think eXyu made a lot of mistakes in the early game. So it really hurt the chances that their bot lane had of carrying. So that's what I'm really watching out for.
Yeah, you say bot lane has the pressure on them, and I'm getting flashbacks. FBI and Ignar did not have a good time, specifically in game 2 against you guys. So hopefully they're able to turn things around, and yes, eXyu impacting that as well. Let's catch up on some of the bans here so far. Is it Seraphine, Karma, J4 taking off on LYON's side, Dignitas banning Varus, Pantheon, and LeBlanc, and first picking Orianna for Palafox.
Interesting that they banned LeBlanc to set up the Orianna, but that might be a bit of a response. I saw a ton of LeBlanc in LEC recently.
Usually it's a ban for Azir first pick.
Yeah.
So this is a little interesting because I think Orianna is completely fine in that matchup, but maybe they expected LYON to also ban Orianna and they just prioritize that over Azir.
And now we have, this is an Inspired special. If it's a control mage mirror, he takes the Nocturne and then just ganks the other control mage the whole time. So with obviously the LeBlanc ban there, I kind of expect Saint to play Azir, but I've seen Rise pretty frequently as an Orianna answer as well. What would you think that Saint's going to go for? It's Azir.
Yep, Azir. I mean, you kind of have to take away the Nocturne from the Orianna side once this trade starts going down. I think most teams consider it a little bit too powerful, the combo of Nocturne ult and Orianna ult. So this makes a lot of sense so far.
Yeah, and plus Azir, I mean, it still has a lot of engaged potential. The Nocturne can go in. Azir has some ability to follow that up as well onto the Orianna, or even set it up with the shuffle. So the Xin Zhao is going to be locked in for eXyu to help keep your mid laner safe, and also harder to ult onto that guy as the Nocturne. Going to pair that with the Rumble. So double AP solo laners for Dignitas.
Yep, and we'll probably get a Ornn or a Cassante in the top lane here, maybe a Sion. I think these matchups are very common, works well with the Azir, and can always neutralize the Rumble. So.
Which one? Flip a coin.
I'm going to say it's Ornn.
Yeah?
Yeah.
More engaged? What about the sneaky Galio could slide in there? Maybe too many globals. Cassante for Dhokla.
Oh,
He's back in his Rumble Cassante roots.
Yeah, they're all the same champs.
Yeah. I was looking at LCK draft last night, and I saw it working its way into LCS a little bit. Jace was actually the most picked top laner in LCK, which made me no surprise that Morgan wanted to play it. But then Rumble's been banned in all but one game of LCK so far in spring, so I'm a little surprised that it actually even got through draft, and then after getting through draft, fell this far here.
Yeah, I mean, Rumble's strength is super high. I feel like the champion it can play weak side, it can play strong side, it can clear waves from so far away. It's just, yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised when this champion priority goes down.
Yeah. And it's one of those champions, when I think of Photon as a player, Dignitas and how they've looked so far, when Photon has a lot of agency, I think that the team looks much better. When he can do things on his own, that's where things like the Gwen, like the Kled last year, I was like excited to see a player come in with that type of champ pool. When I think of Rumble, I think you do need to kind of synergize with your team a little more. Like, you can't do as much isolated. It is about these big team fight ultimates, and I haven't quite seen Dignitas have that level of coordination so far this year. So hopefully things work out a little better, because this is a draft that requires coordination. You have combos, things like the Orianna enabling the Xin Zhao, things like Rumble team fight as well.
I mean, Kangas, at the end of the day, they didn't have their full roster for the first week of lock-in.
Yep.
Then FBI just gotten off the plane the second week of lock-in.
Sure.
Third week of lock-in, they actually win, lose a tiebreaker closely, and that's all we've seen them. And then we saw the one series against Shopify in spring, where I will say, I need to get your opinion on this, Damonte. Dignitas seemed super last place in that, since it was kind of a battle of the bottoms. But they lost by a lot. But I wonder, was that more you guys kind of finding some things, or was it Dignitas playing well under their level, do you think?
You know, I think the Shopify game, both of them, honestly, it's a reflection of the meta in a lot of ways, because I feel like the bot lane mages, it makes everything very volatile. And if the jungler messes up his early game pathing and the bot lane gets left on an island, so let's say one jungler paths down, another jungler is pathing up, and the team pathing down can figure that out, it's almost easy to 3v2 dive and go 1-for-1 on an AD carry.
Right.
And this will instantly, even though you go 1-for-1, the bot laner is going to lose a whole wave, and it snowballs real quick with the major matchups.
Yeah, and we did see that happen in your match against Dignitas just last week, as it's going to be Yunara locked in for LYON, so Berserker gets his hyper carry, and FBI will lock in the Corki. Expecting something like a Nami to go along with this as the kind of popular pairings.
Corki, Nami, Yunara, Lulu.
Yeah. I love these bot lane combos. I feel like the meta right now is just like, it's not this, creative, combine these different things together. It's always these 2v2 pairs put together. The Ezreal Karma, Corki, Nami. So, here what do we think, Damonte? Who are we favoring in draft?
I want to say it's a 50-50 draft. I feel like it's very standard on both sides. Both teams want a team fight. I would give Dignitas maybe a tiny edge in the early game with the Rumble, and I think Nocturne's a little bit slow compared to Xin Zhao, but very, very even.
It seems like just a draft full of handshakes.
Yeah.
They handshake the Orianna to give over the Azir, but because they picked the Orianna, they get the Nocturne, and then because they prioritize the Azir early, they can get the Rumble afterwards, and then they didn't even ban out that many. Like, the fact that 2 bot lane pairs were left at the end, like, no one was trying to snipe the Enchantress supports. I'm a little surprised about that in phase 2 of bans with, Bard, Nico, Caitlyn, Jhin, that, especially with Karma, Seraphine banned as, like, the 4 Enchanters, that one team didn't just ban one of the Enchanters to pinch. So it was just a huge handshake draft.
Yeah, we will have to watch bot lane a lot this game. One of the win conditions for Yunara Lulu is to all in, whereas Corki Nami can just more naturally push. And I would say Dignitas kind of has 3 pushing lanes this game, so I'm looking forward to see what eXyu can make out of this.
Eyes on bot lane, eyes on jungle for Dignitas, and how he wants to play around it, as it's the rematch of Dignitas versus LYON. Last split, it was not the full-strength Dignitas, it was not their full roster together, and now they get to show how much they've improved since the last time they faced off against the #1 team from last split.
So, Damonte, what do you feel like is the focus here in the early game? We see a lot of early game posturing for wards often, like Inspired getting that ward. How important is that, do you think, to his game?
It's extremely important. I think there's a lot of level 1 jungle strategies right now that involve running into the enemy jungle before you even get level 3. So I think, Inspired is doing it as we speak. So jungle gets real crazy real quick in the early game, and you're going to see Inspired will likely do his topside camps and then try to cross back over around 2 minutes 30.
Yeah, this should be understood from eXyu, so now he can hopefully go for his own counter. But also interesting to see eXyu pathing top again anyway. When you're talking about how important bot lane is going to be, I would immediately think that means the top to bot pathing. eXyu will be down there, but not right now.
You need to watch out for what he does after blue buff here, though, because we could end up in a split map position depending on how these lanes go. Yeah, he's going to run straight into the red side here.
Yeah, and he will get spotted by that ward on the bot side. So Inspired knows he's entered, but now they've lost vision of him. Man, jungling is so crazy. I feel like this started happening way more at first stand because we went through a lock-in of mostly kind of full clearing playing around bot, and now it seems like almost every game Inspired is trying to make something funny happen.
Yeah, and Inspired is so good at this type of League of Legends. When it isn't just the full clear from both sides, it gets a little funky. I feel like he's so much better at just freestyling in these jungle positions. And eXyu's not going to go for the buff steal. He's just going to take the Krugs and head towards his own jungle again.
I think what we'll watch out for now is bot priority, because there's a world where Inspired can run into the Wolf or Gromp area after this, but he's checking his Gromp, seeing what's going on, so he might be running out of time here.
I mean, it's a situation where both junglers are just heavily delayed because Inspired has spent the majority of the game pathing, and so has eXyu. Like, look at the path so far. It's been Raptors into blue, into check your bot side, and then Xin has done blue into Krugs into back to Gromp. That's incredibly inefficient from a full clear perspective.
Yeah, they're just really trying to make sure they don't make a big blunder, I would say, in the jungle and fall behind too many camps. So that's why they spend so much time looking around.
And again, Inspired will be spotted on this red buff, so eXyu now knows where he is. And to your point earlier about kind of expecting Dignitas to have shove in their lanes, right now their bot lane is shoved in. Top lane has also had prio for Dhokla, so eXyu has been playing with the top and the bottom of the map not to his advantage. Palafox now could have some Party's happening here. Inspired's coming around. Flash is available on the Orianna. He's got eXyu behind him. Saint's just getting some autos in, and now they turn the play back on to Saint. Flash out from the Azir early, as Inspired now in a 1v2. Saint's trying to get some damage onto Palafox. Does have the soldiers, but nobody goes down on either side.
Yeah, nothing really happening here, but I will say eXyu is getting a bit better of Inspired in this early game. He definitely is up-tempo, and he could even get 2 crabs here.
Yeah. I completely agree. Winning that little skirmish, mainly because Saint had to flash out early once eXyu was in that bush. I am a little interested in Inspired choosing to cross there with his mid not having prio. I know that he did have top push, but that's so far away from the fight, and it definitely delays him a little bit, but it does mean that he's still going to be able to go bot side and clear his camps. Like, in some instances, when you lose the crab, you have nothing left to farm, but I feel like because the early game was so inefficient, so to speak, even after losing that, he still gets to full clear, reset, and then his Krugs will be up. So I think Inspired won't be hurt too much, even if he gets double crabbed.
Something to watch out for here, if you guys notice, the bot crab is still up.
Yeah.
A lot of junglers have been doing this intentionally lately to avoid the 5-minute 30 scuttle respawn. So if they think their team is a bit weaker around this level 5, level 6 timer, they will leave the second scuttle crab up and try and take it later, so that way the 5-minute 30 classic scuttle crab fight usually happens around maybe 7 minutes or 6 minutes 30.
Interesting, and it's going to be very delayed because eXyu went for his full top clear after that. He didn't go for the double scuttle. He's opting more for an efficient clear here, as Inspired will be down a camp right now. And if he doesn't read that that bottom scuttle was not taken, he's just going to go back to his Raptors, and that's what he's doing currently.
In this game, who do you feel like that would be better for to avoid the level 6 flip?
I think it's better for LYON, and I think Inspired is doing it very intentionally.
Yeah, if you're able to get to level 6 on Nocturne earlier, you're not going to be contesting that Xin Zhao for that earlier scuttle, as eXyu will head down towards that bottom scuttle crab and eventually take it. So yes, it is a delayed second scuttle take, and Inspired is just going to keep pathing himself. He doesn't have a lot to take on the Rift right now, though, as a 2v2 in the bot lane. Polymorph goes out onto FBI. We'll get his barrier, and just a health bar trade in favor of LYON's bot lane.
Really slow early game so far, mostly about the jungle posturing, but to your point with Dignitas having a lot of pushing lanes, the Saint doesn't even get the flash there, actually, so that's going to hurt that lane.
Yeah, I imagine, unless it's like a visual bug, but it looks like Palafox flash is still up, and Inspired is here. He has nothing to clear currently, so he could look for a gank. He's going to wait for the minions to path away. Now Palafox is going to realize that he is not alone in this 1v1. But with his flash available, really no chance of Inspired threatening a kill there. Palafox will even get the wave back in.
Yeah, I think Dignitas are playing to their win conditions, I said in the champion select here. I feel like eXyu's pathing very well. Bot lane's doing pretty 50-50 so far, so great first 6 minutes out of them. I'm
going to double down. I'm going to say eXyu's pathing fantastic. Like, he is 3 camps up over Inspired, the MVP of all of last year. And Jatt, I know that we kind of made a joke, or I made a joke earlier in the week of like, you know, Inspired versus eXyu, an interesting matchup, because I feel like Inspired's never going to know what eXyu's planning, because like, Inspired likes to read enemy junglers and get in their heads, and like the Griffin matchups and stuff. Is another 2v2 bot side, actually. FBI's got a Valkyrie away. Heal used from Isles. Just
keep going with your flame.
But the talk about the jungle is that I feel like eXyu's the guy. He's like the perfect jungler to send in against Inspired, because how's Inspired going to know what eXyu's doing?
I can't tell if like that's a good thing or a bad thing of what you're saying right now.
No, I think it's massive flame, because the whole thing was Inspired always said he did so well against Griffin and Krywer because, oh, they tried to play like me, right? He would say that. But eXyu definitely doesn't try and play like Inspired, is what he's saying. Yeah. But the assumption is Inspired is the best. So
well,
you're
there's two sides to a pendulum.
that eXyu is bad.
Well, okay, but sometimes you just need to have a wild card, Jatt. Okay. Sometimes you got to predict the team to go undefeated for the rest of the split.
True.
Sometimes you got to live a little, Josh. All right, Dragon Shard up by eXyu right now as he's level 6. Inspired yet to hit it, so no contest. Dignitas' jungler will continue to win the early game jungle matchup.
Yeah, I think this is, they're getting the reward of the early game right here is this first Dragon. I think eXyu's having a great first part of the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's going to be able to move up to Sundered Sky pretty quick. Ocean Drake being the first Drake as well can help Dignitas continue to play these lanes aggressively. So it's hard to call a Nocturne team out when they're 200 gold down by the time Nocturne hits level 6. So Inspired is definitely going to look to attack, but I'd say this mid lane is going poorly.
Saint has no flash from the earlier play, but he's not actually punished. Actually didn't want to pull the trigger.
Yeah, but so much of what Nocturne wants to do is punish people without flash. And in an ideal world, the lanes are able to burn flashes organically. You hate to use your first Nocturne ult to get the flash, because then your second Nocturne ult is the one that's going to have payoff later. So that's why Palafox not burning flash in any of those early skirmishes is really huge for Dignitas to maintain cleanest lead in the game.
Yeah, we didn't get a replay of what happened when Saint went for the Emperor's Divide earlier, but him not being able to hit it, definitely not ideal, as now eXyu's invading Inspired here. His bot lane had a bit of a timer to roam up and back him up, so Ignar makes sure that he can get the red buff, and Inspired is pinging the grubs. Actually, no, that is Dignitas pinging the Inspired's probably on those grubs.
Yep, eXyu stole their red buff, so now he's pinging his own camps. Don't let this guy come and get these. I'm so far ahead, and Inspired just going to look to snag the free grubs because they knew that the Xin Zhao was on his red buff.
Yeah, I mean, that bot lane is also lit up like a Christmas tree. So many wards from Dignitas. There's nothing to take down there anymore, so eXyu should know exactly where Inspired is on the top half of the map right now, and because it's not on the Raptors. And there we go. Void Grubs gives it away.
I will say that taking the red buff there, I think is a little bit greedy from eXyu. I feel like they could look for a fight around this Grubs here, and just letting Inspired get all three of them there. He's kind of back to being even XP. I think he might even be a little bit ahead.
And also Inspired hasn't purchased in a while, so if eXyu had gone for the contest, would have had the stat advantage as well on top of it.
Yeah, might be going for a return bot lane invade, though. They already have 2 control wards set up after this Grump. I'd expect them to path bottom.
Good look at the Krugs as Berserker pops the ultimate. FBI trading damage back. Aqua Prison will not land, but Berserker's not going to go for much more there. Paranoia is not in range yet for Inspired, but he is heading towards that bottom side. eXyu's already here on the control ward.
Almost like he's trying to counter gank a Nocturne ultimate.
Yeah.
And isn't willing to go in himself.
As now he's looking at Saint, so Lions see the jungler in the bottom river. Inspired will now know that eXyu's towards his Raptors as he's just taking away the Krugs. Looks like Photon's trying to get this top wave in as, let's see if eXyu can actually take these. That's a back and a TP in from Palafox, backing up eXyu. I love this from Dignitas, backing up their young jungler to make sure that he can pull off these invades.
So, Tanner, feel free to have no comment here, but you coach so many of these players.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of discussion before the year and even after first stand of like how Inspired and Saint and the big personalities are going to be able to interact with each other. Especially with Palafox doing so well in this game. Like, how would a team with Inspired and Palafox work?
Ooh.
I would pay to see that. Honestly, I would love that. I think they would have some great discussions, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I imagine.
It would be very spicy. It would be pretty fun to watch.
I'd love to sit in on those.
I mean, they're both very blunt people, so maybe they would get along well. Like when I was working with Inspired and Whippo, they had a lot of mutual respect for each other because they would just tell each other exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could see it being a nice little combo.
You know, as long as players are honest with each other. Yeah. As right there is Inspired going for an invade onto the Krugs and a lane swap as Berserker and Isles headed topside. Now answered by Dignitas, but then they're going to go for a reset here. It's just Ignar that headed up. It's actually FBI still in this bottom lane, so he'll still be getting that bot lane experience towards the little mini game of the boots.
And we missed the whole Rumble versus Cassante laning phase, but I feel like now that he's gone to Kanik, especially up against the Orianna, Dhokla's really in a fine spot in this lane, and that was a really interesting swap to me that it happened so quickly before role quest completion. But I do feel like that swap has really flipped the tempo where it feels like LYON is the one dictating right now.
Yeah, they got bot priority, and they choose to swap into topside, where Rumble is a squishier champion than Cassante. So I think generally that's always going to be a nice little play if you can get bot priority. And interesting thing, I think more teams are starting to experiment with this, is you kind of ignore the quests a little bit, and you'll swap for maybe 1 to 2 waves from bot lane if you have tempo. And I think you'll start seeing this a lot more, especially in tank versus carry matchups.
Yeah, and I feel like no matter how much you swap around, you're going to get the quest eventually anyway. So it hurts a tiny little bit in the short term, maybe with your power spikes, but ultimately, in the grand scheme of the game, you can often gain more from trading than delaying your quest, which is fun.
And as of right now, it's actually Berserker with a slight gold lead after going for that lane swap. Dragon's coming up in 15 seconds as eXyu is just going to take another rotation here of the Raptors. Saint's going to walk up and witness that happening. Can't stop it, though, as Dragon in 5 seconds. Let's see if either of these teams want to pull the trigger right away. Inspired still hasn't used a Paranoia. He has the completed Hexblade now, so he's got that first item power spike to match eXyu's. So the kind of early game weakness of Nocturne was never fully exploited here, as he's only down a couple of camps.
Okay, Damonte, who do you want to see stepping up at this Dragon right now?
I think LYON is much stronger. They have a full item completed on their AD carry where FBI doesn't have one at all. So this is really the early game that I would say Inspired is playing for, waiting for this first item. Corki's Triforce is more expensive than the Kraken on Yunara, so I wouldn't be surprised if Dignitas just dropped this, and I think that would be the better decision.
Even Palafox didn't have a first item completed. Saint had the Gnasher's Tooth, so LYON with the priority in mid and bot side will take the second Drake, deny the stacking from Dignitas, and pick up their first of the game.
Maybe Inspired and Palafox are on the same page, right? Like Inspired knows he's stronger, so he takes Drake, and Palafox like, we don't have our items yet. We need to wait, give this dragon away. It's not this mindless fighting that these other teams do.
I'm loving this like alternate universe that Jatt's building up here. Like, just what if?
They're the two most successful international NA players of the last 3 years. They should team up.
The genius jungle fielder and the genius midfielder coming together.
Now I'm thinking of other combinations, like Palafox and Canyon. You know, just what happens. Yeah.
You're going international.
Yeah, you know. And I'm assuming, of course, Palafox is going to LCK.
Yeah, Palafox, traditionally clutch, Canyon not so. Yeah. So he can bring him up a level, and it'll even out. It'll be amazing.
They even out. They make each other better. You know, it's about, you know, synergy. Well, currently, though, it is still a slow early game here. We're approaching the 14-minute mark with no kills on either side. And nice from Photon there, not stopping the back as Dhokla walked up.
This is another reason I didn't want to put any LYON players on my fantasy team this week. Because even if they win, it's going to be this slow, plodding game state.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. Because we had a conversation of, like, what are the obvious, you know, one-sided matchup? Theoretically, LYON, everyone's going to say, is going to 2-0 Dignitas. But yeah, Jatt, that's an interesting point. That doesn't mean that they get a lot of fantasy points.
Definitely not. And Damonte, I want your opinion on this too. LYON did lose their game last week and throughout a lot of lock-in. There's an invade. They might fight finally.
eXyu's going for another Raptor as Inspired pops a Paranoia. Tidal Wave will land, and it's just a disengage from both sides.
Ult for Flash and Nami Wave seems like a fair trade.
Man, it's a good play out of Dignitas. I think eXyu should just stick to his guns a little bit more.
Yeah,
that
just
Flash
stay in.
was very, very defensive.
Yeah, had the Crescent Guard available. Could have just traded ults. But, end of the day, he's able to walk away, and still a slower paced game here.
Where do you see the scaling going here, Damonte, in this matchup?
I would probably give it to LYON. I think Azir generally is always one of these champions that can win any game once it's past 25 minutes. Also, the Baron threat that you have on this champion is massive. And Yunara, Lulu, I would say scales just better than Corki, Nami.
Yeah, also the fact that they have a dedicated front line. Like, Dhokla will be able to tank up and soak up a lot of damage. Dignitas, I mean, they got the Crescent Guard on the Xin Zhao, but that's about it. So I'll always favor in late game team fights the team that has the tank. And you'd also mentioned, Damonte, that like Dignitas, one of their win conditions is going to be through bot lane here. How do you feel that like the bot lane is gone? Is this to your expectations? Because I feel like we haven't actually seen eXyu play towards them very much.
So I would say this is not really towards my expectations. I would say a lot of this kind of shows how LYON is just a better team. We talked about the swap that they did earlier, and then they finished their first item first. They secured the second dragon. It feels like LYON's bot lane is really playing around their power spikes well.
Yeah, a lot of times winning isn't necessarily flashy solo kills or giant team fights, but even when things aren't going well, because I'd say like the mid lane 2v2 early on in the game went poorly, Saint not being able to get Palafox's flash, another thing that went poorly, but then they're still trying to find all these small things within the game to at least make sure the Drakes are equal and at least be in a
That's one of the most fun parts about League is you don't getting wave priority is you playing well. You don't need to be killing the enemies to like get an advantage. If you get priority in your base first, you got tempo, you can get on the map on the next round.
That is the most coach answer I've ever heard. His Paranoia's popped, flash to follow, and he spell shields the shockwave. Inspired committing for first blood and doesn't even trade his life. Will eventually fall now in the mid lane. Berserker goes down to FBI and Ignar in the 2v2, so Dignitas actually trading up in kills.
I mean, that's what Inspired always wants to do. He always wants to gank the control mage side. Very close. It actually does trade the kill over onto Inspired, and they get the kill onto Berserker. So they'll lose gold to Azir because he's free hitting the turret, but I think that's still a positive play for Dig.
Yeah, I think Berserker got a little bit too saucy there. He was trying to flash predict or W predict the FBI flash. So, man, this was really close.
Taking a look at exactly what happened. Yeah, Berserker kind of gets hit by everything.
Oh, see the flash there?
I did.
Yeah. I guess.
But he still didn't have the damage. I agree with you.
Yeah, if he angles it differently, I could also imagine he's trying to dodge like the rockets or the phosphorus bombs, but either way, the damage comes through and FBI picks up a kill. So first turret picked up by Saint in that bottom lane. Answered as the more kills went over to Dignitas. So still a very even gold game.
But also another Raptor camp stolen by eXyu. 152 to 120 in the jungle CS.
I'm telling you, Inspired does not know what eXyu's going to do next. Is he going to hop in here? Is he going to take the... No.
Palafox is, obviously.
Yeah. And it's going to charge in. Looks like Dignitas want to take their first turret of the game, but don't have quite enough damage off of just that. FBI will walk up and does not get the auto on the turret, actually. So looks like
losing
Lion
a
will
lot
hold
of
that for
minion
now.
waves on bot lane right now.
Yeah. Photon a little late to be able to cover that wave. Do you think there's any level of being able to get inside Inspire's head? I know some junglers get really emotional around getting their camp stolen. Is there any level of that, do you think, that could happen with Lion?
I think the way to get inside of Inspired's head...
I think we have a fight happening right here. The Paranoia straight in onto the back line. Shockwave only lands onto one as Crescent Guard's trying to keep eXyu alive. Palafox the first kill, answered back as Dhokla flies right in onto the Orianna. But Dignitas are winning the health bar trade in the tail end of the 4v4. Flash forward from Photon. They want to continue the chase onto Dhokla. The harpoon will land, and he's roasting down Cassante. Photon will find a second kill for Dignitas.
Big fight there for Dig. Inspired and Palafox go down right at the start, but then when Rumble arrives and Corki does damage at the end, they'll win the fight and take the Drake afterwards.
Man, Dignitas is doing it. Playing pretty good here.
By a ton of time with the stopwatch for Palafox. Yes, he falls, but Inspired is down as well. And then with that equalizer, it pushes Saint and Berserker completely outside of the fight, so it gives them time to free hit Dhokla. And then they'll have the confidence, not only can they chase in this 3v2, but eXyu gets to start off the Drake, so it's an efficient end to the fight as well. Okay.
Not bad. Dignitas, okay. I mean, and that was another instance. Both teams were jockeying for that line brush, but the fact that Inspired used the Paranoia and they try and fly in to get onto, I believe that was Palafox that they full sent it on, but he's got the stasis and he's able to survive long enough that the rest of Dignitas can punish, and now 2 dragons plus a 2k gold lead. The first time we've seen a substantial gold lead, I'll call it, in this game.
And what's interesting about this is it did feel like it was going to be super one-sided. It felt like it was going to be super one-sided last time, but if we remember back to that game they had in lock-in, Photon's Kennen actually had a bunch of massive flanks. He had a really strong game, made this really close, and this was with a sub-bot lane. So something that worked aside from the Kennen and these great team fights was Palafox eXyu actually had a pretty good game against Inspired Saint as well, and a lot of that we kind of chalked up to maybe luck or early season success, but now Dignitas kind of running it back and does seem to play Lion pretty well on stage.
Yeah, they're not faltering at all to the Nocturne, and it's really nice to see. They found a full 5v5 without Nocturne picking anyone off, so credit to them.
Yeah. And man, some of these replays, you can just see the impact that Photon was able to have. And again, I love him on these champions that can find these types of moments. Rumble's more so just pure damage. You know, you're not going to be going for this big engage, but still he's playing it well in these fights, flashing to follow up on Dhokla there and make sure he picks up another kill. And Photon, his story's been fun to follow, you know, joining Dig very late last year when they were making some like summer last-minute roster changes, sticking around for this year, and has had a great start to his 2026.
He really has, and I mean, after that team fight, when Dignitas is trying to accelerate the game a little bit, there's always these small windows after team fights where you don't have to be as fearful of the Nocturne ultimates, but now at this point, you can see Palafox in the top lane there has the Xin kind of in his back pocket. That's the only way he's going to be able to push that side lane safe, and they go mid instead.
Paranoia here onto Ignar, flash
nice.
And heal you, so 2 summoner spells burned, Inspired with a high-value ult.
I think just watch what Rumble's doing here. He's coming mid to help defend the play. I think it's just a little bit too slow, though. This is where I would say, once again, you can still tell that LYON just has a better pace to the game, and they understand when their strength timers are.
Yeah.
Rumble is catching bot wave on bot tier 2. Dhokla runs all the way up the river, and they Nocturne ult and find themselves in a 4v2. So they get to burn the Nami flash, and this will increase the strength for the next round.
And I mean, because Photon walked all the way up, again, he's kind of losing waves bot side. It's basically frozen close to the middle, so you could say the argument's same for Dhokla, but he pathed towards the top side, then Palafox heads up there, so Photon just has to go for the reset and will now get back to this bottom wave and start CSing.
Yeah, and even FBI and Ignar are in a pretty good state in this game against Berserker Isles, and it wouldn't seem so with Dignitas versus Lion, but if you just look at the actual players, right, like FBI and Ignar do have a history over Berserker. I know we're pulling back 3 years at this point, but you remember that type of stuff as players, right? Like, we've beaten this guy before, we've dominated them in the past, and they're playing with a lot of confidence here.
That's why I said, like, you can never discount FBI and Ignar. These guys are good players.
And even if they're not given the early game resources, eXyu is not pathing towards that bot side. He was not heavily influencing the 2v2. Is more so going for invades and Ignar backing him up. FBI and Ignar can still show up later in the game here, even on the Corki and Nami. But the big standout still has been mostly Photon. He's the one with the biggest gold lead. It was a 1.2K, and now Dhokla walking this wave in, getting the plate will actually make that only a 600 currently, so Photon losing some of that, but still, like, as an individual performer, he's the one that had the most resources in his pocket. But you can make that argument for pretty much everybody at this point. It's only Saint with a slight lead for LYON.
Yeah, but I'd also say Inspired being, it feels like he's down in this game. The gold only says minus 322 to eXyu, but just the normal power of Inspired Nocturne, at this stage in the game, I see him solo killing control mages the other times he's played it, because he's usually got 3 or 4 kills under his belt.
Well, maybe he's going to find one right here as the tidal wave will go out, but the Fear Tether lands, and Berserker with the kill credit there. First ult, Jatt, you get the flash. Second ult, you get the kill.
Well, he's taking, instead of control mages, he's going for supports, but he's still found the windows there.
And that wasn't a 1v1, but you know what, I'll still give it to you. I'll still give it
works.
To you. Yeah. So LYON do find a play right there. As now Dhokla's just going to go for a dive onto FBI. Flash out, flash follow. Valkyrie to safety as Dhokla will take a few turret shots. The equalizer slowing him down, roasting him up. Photon looks to continue the chase. Dhokla has the TP. No CC on Photon, but he's just got the damage. Overheats and autos him to death.
Damn, he's packing a punch right now. It will still likely buy LYON time to do this Drake. Palafox finished the turret top lane. Gold is going to stay pretty close. eXyu might try to make a play here.
Yeah, we do have a small window while the rest of LYON are on the Dragon, but Dragon secured, and they get their mid laner out of there. Go for a TP, but it is, or rather a back. It's canceled as eXyu straight in onto him. And first divide flash from eXyu. He's got the Crescent Guard, so the damage is not following up, but he takes down Saint. Dignitas find another play.
Oh man, Inspired is going to be in his teammates' ears about this play right here. I feel like what Dhokla did was really bad. It was really funny watching Dhokla do that on mid-tier 2 while Inspired runs straight to the Dragon. He says, I'm doing this no matter what.
Yep.
And then afterwards, they catch Saint on a late recall. Now, they likely just have to give this Dragon away. Dhokla no TP. Inspired actually getting pushed off his blue buff by Palafox. Two jobs here. Burns the smite, pushes him back, and also makes sure there's no smite steal to stop the Baron.
Yeah.
Dignitas is making plays when they need to.
Palafox didn't even use his shockwave earlier there, so he's just threatening back Inspired. That's Baron picked up by Dignitas with a 3,000 gold lead. So LYON are able to delay the game a bit by taking that next Dragon. Dignitas could have been at Dragon Soul Point if they had secured that, but still, the Red Bull Baron power play could get Dignitas an even bigger gold lead.
Now let's watch how Dignitas opens up with this Baron. They don't have flash on Corki, they don't have flash on Xin Zhao or on Rumble, so they need to make sure they play really well around this open, and Nocturne can't catch them out before anything happens.
Yeah, because a lot of times with Baron, you're tempted to push multiple lanes at once. What would you want ideally them to do? Should they all just overload a lane and try and get as much gold as possible?
So you see they opened up 3 lanes. They all pushed that first wave out. Photon instantly based, and now they're most likely to play mid-bot, because there's standing gold on the map on the bot tier 1 still, and Dragon is in 3 minutes, so that's not a big deal, but yeah, this mid-bot open is very good.
And they're actually sending Palafox down there, the only one with flash right now. If the Nocturne wants to use Paranoia, at least Palafox has some way to get out of there, but they're not actually having him show on the wave.
Yeah, I do feel like you're still a little bit exposed when you're trying to play 2 lanes at once, even if LYON isn't willing to show. And Saint getting that deep push on bottom means they now have to load 4, at least in the mid lane, but it's just difficult to play against this Nocturne and the Azir with how much they can reach you.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Jatt, you had made a point while we were watching the last series together in the green room that, yeah, sometimes the Baron, it just doesn't get you much. The raw gold you pick up, the XP you pick up, it's all been nerfed, so you got to use it. You actually have to hit turrets, push waves, and so far they have not been able to do that.
Yeah, the most available standing gold is this outer turret on the bot side, and they had to do a few up downs to make sure they could push Inspired out of his jungle and could safely approach us. And I do actually like how they're giving so much of this gold to Palafox.
But Saint's going to answer on the top half. You have to imagine that turret's going down. So that's a trade against the Baron buff. And Inspired's here to hover and make sure that Saint's safe. He even takes away some Krug. So I think LYON have actually played this very well. Dignitas will continue the siege, pushing on a tier 2 turret on the bot side. If they can get this, that's where the advantage of the Baron starts to materialize.
Yeah, they're going to get the majority of that turret, but Saint's still going to be able to touch this and get a couple of plates. The raw engage from Dignitas is actually not that high, so they need to be able to group up around objectives and slow play this game, which means they have to play very clean in between the objectives to not get picked off by Nocturne.
So Damonte, as a coach, when you're looking at a situation like this with these comps, do you feel like Dignitas approached this the correct way, or do you think that there was some more min-maxing they could have done with that Baron?
I think Dignitas did great. I think they're going to come out ahead of this, maybe 1.5k gold. I know we used to have that graphic of the Baron think.
It's up top right here, so it's 1.3K.
Oh, nice. I was close. Yeah. I mean, they did well. I think the scariest part is the first 3 waves of Nash, especially against Nocturne. And I think, like Jatt said, they put Orianna bot with no who had flash, so she was able to farm safely one time, and then they played around mid bot, got full bot tier 2, and 3 plates on mid.
And now we have Dragon in 1 minute and 15 seconds. If Palafox can get to the Rabadons, he actually just goes to the Shockwave on Isles, now gets engaged himself, goes into the stasis of the Zhonya. Saint's trying to go in for his own play, finds the shuffle as Palafox goes down, but it's answered right back. FBI has the damage, Photon's got the damage, Dignitas got the team fight! A double kill to FBI as Dhokla will go all out, pulling eXyu over the wall, but that's a one-way journey. Triple kill to FBI, Dignitas win the team fight.
I mean, they've got a wave mid and 4 dead. Let's see how much they can get with this, Damonte.
Man, could this... I think they're at least getting the inhibitor. I don't think the game ends here, though.
It feels close to an end. If they could have killed Berserker and didn't take that long to finish Dhokla, I was thinking end. Photon has no TP and he's resetting, which tells me they're not calling the end. They're calling the inhibit back.
What a crazy turnaround, though. Dignitas had a gold lead, but I didn't think that they'd be able to win a team fight that handedly. Let's get a replay of that, because Palafox starts it off, doesn't even kill Isles with this.
He still takes the blue out of the fight, though, and then that is what starts the fight. He buys the time with the stopwatch, and then everyone else flies in. By the time he dies, Inspire's burned everything, Isles has burned everything, and FBI, importantly, is free hitting in every single one of these fights.
Our boy Palafox getting in there and getting things started.
He is?
Yeah, and Berserker on the side here, he was pretty much focused on Photon the entire time. He was trying to auto-attack the Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Cheeky smile right there.
Yeah, you never know if they're going to have a funny quote in those moments. But yeah, I mean, great for Dignitas. They win the team fight. Huge injection of gold with a 6.6K gold lead now, and they get the 3rd Dragon.
Damonte, you know how much swagger Palafox is going to walk around with if he beats Lion in this
The game is doing really well for us.
Oh, yeah, it is Palafox.
It did. It did go very well for them.
Nice.
Yeah. As now they have their eyes set on him. He's got the flash, but he's polymorphed, and he's down. Inspired will find a kill. Palafox can have slightly less swagger now walking around.
Oh, no.
Time to adjust in the seat again. The classic Palafox post-death. Switch the legs.
Yep.
That was an unlucky position. Now you gotta go right leg over left.
Okay, while we have a minute right now, with Baron being up in 40 seconds and Palafox being dead, Damonte, as a former mid laner, talk to me about this Proto Belt hysteria.
Yeah.
Ever since Chovy built Proto Belt Azir, everyone else started doing it, and now we're seeing it on all the control mages. What is your stance on Proto Belt?
Well, the stats on the item are good. You know, you get HP and you get AP.
Yeah.
And then you also get a little movement spell, which actually has... It's definitely some dopamine effect where these players want to build it because, oh, look at me, I get a Proto Belt and make some plays. But it can make a difference a lot of the time. If a Rumble is going to land a Harpoon on you, you could Proto Belt away, maybe Nami ult, these things. I personally am a fan.
Okay.
Yeah, you also get a little ability haste, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap as well, so it's a quick power spike. You'll hit that faster than other people going for 2 or 3 more expensive items. It's just so funny that Chovy built it, and then everyone had the ability to try it.
Everyone's got to follow it up. As let's see if he's able to find that big play, because it helps you find more engage options as the Azir. So far, LYON have just been throwing the Nocturne in and then pairing it with the Wild Growth from Isles. But Saint can always go in and find his own play, as the next play could be at this Baron. We have 3 minutes till the Dragon Soul fight. So Baron is that next big objective to pull action towards it. eXyu has his Guardian Angel completed, so he's ready to scrap. Inspired does not quite have his. As Isles takes a huge chunk right there. Berserker also taking some damage, and in goes eXyu with the flash. They go out to Saint. He shuffles back. They got FBI, but not fast enough. Trade of 1 for 2 as Dignitas trade up in the fight right now. Berserker's trying his best to kite back. eXyu lands a knockup. eXyu takes him down. Berserker's out of there. LYON do not have the carries, as it's Dhokla and Isles retreating on opposite sides of Summoner's Rift. Dignitas find another team fight.
I mean, that looked like a scary start because FBI got shuffled and died early, but then eXyu just went Super Saiyan and ran down Berserker by himself.
Let's go, eXyu. I'm loving this game.
206, 30 CS up on Inspired, and this time, with these 3 dead, they might be able to push for the win. Let's see.
Who needs a Dragon Soul when you have a 1-team fight? It's just Dhokla and Isles trying to clear out the minions, but Dignitas have 4 members strong. They're not even looking at Dhokla. They're just hitting the structures. Dignitas with a Game 1 upset will start this series off strong versus LYON.
major shout out to eXyu and major shout out to the bot lane of Dignitas. I think they played to their win conditions very well.
My God, so the team that had more players formerly coached by Damonte won.